everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, Amiti.
Good morning.
Yeah, we are about to start. So we will give ourselves like 5 minutes so that we allow guys to settle. So by 9:10 we will be starting.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, everyone. So in the next 1 minute, we will begin. If you will allow us, I hope we are all settled and ready to start. I'll quickly request that I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you, Mario. Dan Juma, can you hear me? Nick, can you hear me? Good morning, Nick.
Yes, we can hear you. Quickly.
Thank you. Gadoni, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Amiti. I can hear you very well.
Thank you. Good morning. Daktari Chumo, can you hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you well.
Thank you. So we welcome you into this meeting. It will be brief, half day from 9 to, I think we want to end it by 12. So we request that you be patient with us. And to start us off, we will play the national anthem. I hope all of us have the program with them, but then I'll just run us through the program. So from now to around 10, we will have the welcome and opening remarks which my CEO will do. Then we have 3 reports to be presented. There's a baseline assessment report. There's a training needs analysis report. Then the digital service request report. And we have a team, a pool of consultants who are helping us with this. Then there will be remarks by invited guests. So before that, we will have a quick reactions on these reports. Then after that, we will have remarks by invited guests. So I once again welcome you. The program of today is about access to environmental justice through the use of alternative justice systems. So I'll request our IT guys to please support us with playing the national anthem. Thank you. Thank you. So once again, welcome to this meeting, the brief launch of our program. And I now take this opportunity to introduce my CEO, Henry Ochieng, to do the welcome and opening remarks. Mr. Henry Ochieng.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you, participants, for taking time to be in this meeting. We are pleased to welcome you to the launch of the KARA project on enhancing access to environmental justice, solid waste management subsector through the alternative justice system in Nairobi County. We appreciate our partners, that is the European Union in Kenya, UNDP, and Mkeni wa Kenya, for supporting us as one of the implementers under the programs for people empowerment and aid delivery in Kenya. As you may be aware, Nairobi suffers a number of challenges of infrastructure for waste disposal, much the rapidly growing population of commercial and industrial demands. This has led to the problems such as poor solid waste management and uncoordinated activities of various stakeholders in the solid waste management subsector. The situation has consequently led to the increased conflicts among the actors such as resident associations, waste pickers, environmental defenders, and the government agencies in charge of the environment. Given the expensive, tedious, and time-consuming nature of mainstream justice system in Kenya, majority of those involved in the conflict end up not getting justice. The goal of the project that we're implementing and we're launching here today is to increase access to environmental justice, the waste management subsector, through the alternative justice system in Nairobi County. This project is actually a response to the need of an expensive alternative means of resolving disputes within the waste management subsector. And we will broadly be focusing on a number of areas. One of them is strengthening the community level structures, such as the resident association to sustainably deliver alternative justice system service at the local level. We'll also be looking at sensitizing waste pickers, both in the formal and informal sectors, and environmental justice defenders working in Nairobi County on the recently launched AJS policy. I'm sure you are aware that policy was launched, and we are trying to look at how to ensure that we create awareness around it, and of course, make sure that it's being applied, addressing the various we might have. We'll also be supporting community-led advocacy and awareness creation for sustainable partnership, coordination, and linkages. We have listed a number of activities to enable us achieve these goals. Some of these activities are already ongoing, and most of them we are already laying out plans to ensure that they are rolled out. Some of the activities include conducting a baseline survey to determine levels of knowledge and awareness among the community level actors within the waste management subsector, as well as determine their information needs on AJS. And this is an activity that we already commenced, and we'll be getting a report from our consultant on what the findings are. We're also going to look at designing and developing IC materials on AJS in waste management for dissemination among the targeted waste collectors, both the informal and formal collectors, the residents. We also are going to organize community dissemination forums, IEC materials developed in AJS in solid management among the targeted waste collectors and the residents. The other activities are organizing football tournament between youth groups working in the informal waste sector and the residents to enhance awareness on alternative justice system in the waste management sector. We're also going to undertake capacity needs assessment and develop training materials for AJS Executive Management Committee members drawn from the various resident associations who are within the leadership of CARA. The other activity will be to carry out training of community leaders and facilitate the trained leaders to conduct trainings on AJS among members of the management committee of resident associations. We are also going to develop knowledge products to inform and influence policies and best practices on access to environmental justice through AJS, and set up an automated mobile and web-based reporting complaint referral mechanism on waste management issues. Lastly, we are going to look at facilitating linkages and referrals for disputes, cases that may require processing through the formal justice system. So after implementing all these activities, we expect to have certain outcomes. And these include the actors, that is the resident associations, the informal and formal waste workers, the solid management sector are empowered to utilize the AJS in dispute resolution. We also expect to see a more coordinated and solid waste management disputes and complaints through AJS improved in Nairobi County. So we have a number of people who are targeted through this project, and mostly are the youth working in the waste management sector. They're also working with the government agencies, that is NEMA, NMS, and some of them are already here. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, what we are trying to achieve through this initiative is to ensure that people are embracing AJS as a means of addressing conflicts and contribute to the well-being of the actors within the sector, and ensure that at the end of the day, we have a speedy resolution of whatever kind of conflicts we have. So we are happy to host you here today, and we certainly look forward to working with each and every one of you, because in the process of implementing this project, we are going to be engaging a number of actors, both in government and out of government. So we will be engaging a lot more in the process of implementation, and we call upon you to work with us, cooperate with us, and ensure that we achieve the objectives and objectives of this particular project. So today we are going to have some of the work that is done, some of the reports that have already been taken, presented, and be able to see some of the issues that we find out, some of the gaps are already identified, and which will inform the various activities. So mine is to welcome you to this launch and look forward to a very, very interactive and productive session at the end of this particular program. Thank you very much. Karibuni sana.
Thank you, Mr. Chieng. Yeah, the intended outcome of this program is that we want actors in this sector empowered to use it to utilize AJS. The other outcome that we want with this program is that we have an improved coordination of issues of dispute resolution. So can we have a mechanism to help us coordinate the actors, and can we empower the actors to utilize the alternative justice system? So allow me to introduce our consultant who will quickly take us through the baseline assessment report. They will do a presentation. So Edwin, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Omiti. Thank you, Henry. I hope everyone can hear me. In case you can't, you can just text, you can just chat so that I can be able to make the necessary adjustments. So my name is Edwin Ochieng. I work as an independent consultant on issues of research, policy development, and capacity building. So we had the opportunity with my colleague, Boaz Odawa, to be able to conduct the baseline assessment for the project. And we want to just very quickly take some 15 minutes to be able to make a presentation on the same. And so Omiti and team, you can allow me to share my screen. It's my hope that you can be able to see my screen, which is a PowerPoint presentation, just looking at what our finding was. And before I go into the finding, I just want to reiterate what was the focus of this particular baseline study. The baseline study asked three things. One, that we go to the field and find out what is the level of knowledge and awareness among residents and actors within the solid waste management on alternative justice system. And of course, we assessed that and we have findings that we will present to you. We were also requested to look at the level of access and utilization of the alternative justice system, especially where there are disputes among the actors within the solid waste management. And then of course, look at the functionality of these alternative justice systems and how communities and the actors have embraced the utilization of alternative justice systems, especially at the community. So basically, one of the first things is that we were able to collect data through a mixed research methodology, where we used participatory processes, use of key informant interviews, focus group discussions, and of course, complemented by a survey questionnaire that was able to reach almost 241 respondents spread across the 17 counties in Nairobi. And so what you see in my screen is just the representation of how the distribution of respondents within the different sub-counties in Nairobi. In terms that I had already mentioned about the level of awareness on alternative justice system, one of the things that came out is that only 17.01% of those we reached demonstrated that they were aware of the term, especially alternative justice system, and how it applies to what they are doing. And how did we assess this? We looked at responses on people who were able to say administration to justice, customary law, the practice of beliefs, and just resolving disputes. And so we just found that only 17%. But interesting to know is that a number appreciated and acknowledged that it is important to be able to use alternative justice system because it increases social inclusion. And so at least 91.49% were able to appreciate that this is an important system that can be able to support them to be able to resolve some of the disputes they have within the solid waste management sector. In terms of residents that already demonstrated knowledge, as I did mention, the level of knowledge, we had different people saying they can be able to access information. They have heard about AGS, and also they are aware of what it entails, as I just mentioned before. In terms of modes of information, and this is very important because when you are strengthening capacities of these actors, then you really need to know what are the best ways and means within which they can be able to access information. And so when we asked them how they are able to access information, especially on alternative justice issues, we had 18 mentioning the issue of use of television, use of ICT materials, use of through meetings and forums, and then of course online, and then radio. And one of the things that came out is that they prefer the use of radio because it is something that they can be able to afford while they are working, and also they prefer the use of online platforms because then they can be able to access smartphones. So in terms of those with knowledge and improved knowledge on awareness of alternative justice, there's those who mention that they can be able to solve this using mediation, peace meetings, but very few are able to access and use the court system, and of course the police. And a number of disputes are resolved through the chief's office, and this came out as one of the areas where every time they have disputes, they're able to really quickly walk to the chief. But they also mentioned that most of their committees are not, when they take cases to their committees, you find that those cases are mostly referred to the chief and the police because the management committees do not have the requisite skills to be able to resolve disputes, and so they prefer taking them to the chief and the police. On issues of awareness around reporting, we realized that one, the only 10.3% of respondents demonstrate that they use and they are aware of such mechanisms of automated reporting, which they can be able to use as a platform to be able to report if they have any issues. Then we also looked at the proportion of management committees and members of WESPECA who demonstrate capacity on AGS, and this was looked at in terms of being able to have been trained on solid waste management and being able to have been trained on trained on dispute resolution. And you can see from the screen that almost 79.25 and 74% demonstrated that they have not been trained, and they have not been trained on issues of dispute, but only 24 and 19 indicating that they have been trained on this dispute resolution and solid waste management. And we asked them who have been able to train them, and they mentioned some of the institutions that have been able to train them, like Muungano Wanakijiji, a safe and inclusive city project, and also JPIEGO, and some of the organizations that have already been able to train them. And so that really tells you that in terms of service provision, then it's important that some interventions are provided, since the baseline says that there is really very little access to that sort of capacity building. In terms of current access to AGS services, we asked the respondents terms of increased access, and we noticed that at least 70.12% already mentioned that they are facing challenges in accessing legal services. And also in terms of issues of dispute resolution service providers, majority of them, they're able to access through the peace committees, the police, and as I did mention, the resident associations, with very few taking their cases to court. Then we also looked at what are some of the emerging challenges that they talked about in terms of accessibility. Bribery was cited, lengthy legal services, police harassment, intimidation from friend, and of course biasness. And of course, as we know that some of these things really exist in our communities, and they have been reported by other studies, by other actors, and of course this just reaffirms that particular aspects. So those are how they were able to respond in terms of the legal dispute resolution. And of course, I've mentioned that. Then the functionalities of the community AGS, in terms of their perception, we found that a good number talked about, of course, this AGS being more or less average, by one of just saying 4% saying they are excellent, and some felt they are poor, but of course also some said they are good. And of course, I know many actors, and including the government, has really been advocating for the use of community-based functional structures, both formal and non-formal, for ensuring that community can be able to access justice. So in terms of complaints that are being reported, we found and noted that at least 58.9% had reported complaints, while 41 could not remember any history of having reported any complaint through the alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. In terms of access to injustices that they face within their work, it's of course the issue of stigmatization, of course frustration from clients who do not pay them, and all these are some of the things that really lead to disputes. Of course, bribery again was mentioned, and of course the issues of arbitrary arrest by the police also came up strongly as some of the things that the injustices they face in terms of the work. As I wind up, I will talk about some of the conclusions that came across from our analysis, and also from comments of people we interviewed and who felt that some of the solutions that need to be put in place are things like capacity building for community leaders so that they can be able to directly deal with the complaints, and also of course recognition of the community legal aid service providers such as Nyumba Kumi. And I think this can go by making sure that they are trained, they're given incentives that can allow them to be able to provide this kind of service. And of course the issue of development of comprehensive monitoring system, because some of the disputes are beyond issues of boundaries among West pickers, issues of territorial collection, and then of course creating more public awareness on issues of just use of alternative justice system and rolling this in the community, so that then there is more sensitization, and of course reinforcement of offices of alternative justices, as I did mention, in terms of just supporting them to improve their governance, improve the election and appointment. And of course, there was also one of the things that came up, and of course, the provision of protective attires. And of course, I think that is one of the needs that the people who work in that sector feel. Allow me to stop there just briefly because of the time aspect. Yes, if there is any questions or clarifications, we are available to respond. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Omiti.
Thank you so much, Edwin, and thanks for that wonderful presentation. We will request that we keep our comments, reactions, or any input until we are over. So we've done with the first section. So we will quickly move to the second consultant. That is the second presentation on training needs analysis report. So I would request the consultant to start off. Okay, I think I can't see Japheth. So we quickly move to Nixon. Nick, that is the presentation on digital service request report. So Nick, over to you. Okay, I can see Japheth is requesting if you could allow him to share his screen. Is Japheth one of the panelists? Hello?
Japheth, can unmute your mic.
Okay, we will go to Japheth. You will hold on. We will go to Nick. Nick, can you proceed?
Okay, thank you very much, Omiti. Okay, let me share. I think Japheth is ready. Maybe he goes first. I can see he's sharing his screen.
Okay. Japheth, we can't hear you.
Mute your mic, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, let me proceed. All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, so thank you very much. I'm making a presentation on capacity needs assessment, developing of training manuals, and facilitating of TOT training. So basically, this particular agenda and the presentation will follow the guideline of context and background, and I will also highlight the objectives. I will therefore take opportunity to talk about methodology and approach, and I will be able to present the findings. So very quickly, I would be able to go to the presentation and look at the context of this particular subject. And particularly this project is being implemented by CARA to enable access to environmental justice, especially in solid waste management. So the focus is basically to increase access to environmental justice on solid waste management through alternative justice systems. Now, the project is also responding to the needs of inexpensive and alternative means of resolving disputes within Nairobi County. So the project also looks at strengthening the community level structures, regional residents associations to sustainably deliver alternative justice system services at local level, basically by supporting and strengthening the skills of residents associations executive committee members. So I'll be basically looking at the objectives, and one of the objectives of this particular focus is conducting a capacity need assessment, targeting residential associations committee members. Another one is also developing the curriculum, facilitators guide, and participants guide. And it should also be able to project facilitating a training of trainers, workshop for executive management committee members of the residents associations, especially to enable them understand the context and teaching methodology and equip them with the knowledge and facilitation skills. So if you look at what we're presenting today, then you'll realize that we've conducted the capacity needs assessment that will enable us to look at the gaps. And these particular gaps will be utilized, or we have utilized them to develop the curriculums and the training guides. And we also facilitating the TOTs. So the presentation here will basically look at the gaps that are existing that have enabled us to develop the curriculum and participants guide. So going on, we want to look at the scope of this particular assignment of what it was looking into, and generally look at the aspects and perspectives that are derived from the findings. So the scope involved developing tools and methodology for capacity needs assessment, including conducting the needs assessment, dissemination of findings. It also involved designing and developing the TOT tools, manuals, and facilitators guide. It also involves facilitating training of TOT programs for selected executive management committee members and residents association. Now, what was the approach of this particular process? So our methodological process was guided by 3 intensive study design. We involved a descriptive design. We also used a methodological approach that involved both quantitative and qualitative. And we also used cases from the field to build our qualitative evidence gathered from multiple sources. So in this particular process, our methodological approach involved inception and document reviews. We also did capacity needs assessment that encompasses iterative methodological process, especially in data collection and reporting. And then lastly, not lastly, we developed a training manual and curriculum. Then we are going to conduct a TOT for executive members and a TOT facilitation method. So the methodological approach have taken cognizance of these particular processes to enable us proceed with the process. And how do you do the simple sampling design? Now, our sampling design generated that we are supposed to go and capture 280 members. However, in this particular opportunity, we only managed to get 208 members for this particular interview, which is still a very good number to generate our conclusions. And we did a sampling, purposive sampling and snowball sampling to identify our respondents. And this consisted of CARA giving out a list consisting of key executives for residents associations that we directly contacted and interviewed virtually. So looking at all these particular processes, we also did data collection methods that involved desk review. We also involved focus group discussions in all the 17 sub-counties in Nairobi. We also conducted individual interviews, we also did key informants. We also conducted observations and case stories. So that analysis, we used Stata. We also used qualitative analysis and then Vivo, especially for coding the qualitative analysis. So how did we ensure that there was a quality assurance procedures and data management and reporting? We did a pre-testing of the tools. We also trained our research team. We did data recheck and management, and also we did data quality assurance and information management. We also validated the study using the data collection procedures. What were some of the limitations of this particular study? Now, getting response remained elusive due to the fears occasioned by the COVID-19. The study timing was challenging, as well as collecting data from youths who manage solid waste management became challenging, since most of them were busy sorting and collecting data when you were conducting this particular process. So they would not give you much time to interrogate and understand. So looking at the results and findings, then we'll be able to appreciate the context of our findings. Our results and findings looked at the location of the study, and we conducted the study in the following 17 sub-counties in Nairobi. Then we also conducted a social demographic study looking at the gender and age of respondents. We also did a demographic characteristics that looked at the religion, marital status, disability status, and household heads. Then we also understood and looked at the level of awareness, so that this could help us develop a particular TOT that would be enabled, that would enable the residents association executives to also pass these trainings to others. And we look at whether there is understanding in the role of solid waste management.
Jafeth, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Your screen is not moving. Can you, your slides?
Okay, mine are moving from my side. I don't know.
Okay.
It has not moved a single bit since we began anyway. So.
Then it's okay. Proceed.
Anyway, proceed. Yeah.
Okay, you saying my screen is still. Can you be able to see right now?
Exactly. Now
we can, but before it never even a single bit.
Oh, sorry, that is gross. So I guess with, in the interest of time, please let's just proceed.
Yes.
Please proceed.
All right. So I was looking at the level of awareness of alternative justice systems in solid waste management and the role that is being played in solid waste management, especially by members or by respondents. And in particular, you realize that the awareness majority do not understand or they've not heard of alternative justice system at 78%, and 22% of the residents indicate that they have had alternative justice system. So this included all the households and the people that you were able to look into. So very many people also you realize that very many people have faced challenges in injustice in solid waste management. So what are some of the forms of injustice encountered? You find that there are a lot of requests for bribes, intimidation from other players, there are cartels in solid waste management, there are harassment from county officials, sexual violence is also realized with 12 respondents indicating so. Then physical violence and abuse is also pronounced because of the gangs fighting for space and for the resources of solid waste management. So in terms of awareness of dispute resolution mechanisms, you find that they are aware that courts can be used as one of the highest, and then chiefs as a second, and then police as third, and then Nyumba Kumi as fourth. They also realize that mediation is another important form that can be used. So which is the most likely method that the members can be able to use? They indicate that they can be able to use chiefs, followed by Nyumba Kumi, if given opportunity, followed by courts, and then they would also be able to go to environmental tribunal bodies, especially NEMA and also the court tribunal. So in terms of information on access, in terms of access to alternative justice systems, members in the group indicated members within solid waste management, there are not so many members. However, you find that only 8% of the respondents subscribe to a group in solid waste management. And the activities that they carry within these particular groups include managing dump sites, collecting and dumping, transportation, selling, buying waste, and drainage and cleaning. So we also look at the functionality of community on alternative justice systems. And then we also look at the disputes within and the dispute resolved by the residents association committees. So residents indicated that most of the residents association committees cannot be able to handle disputes due to the structural areas because they have no understanding of solid waste management, and therefore they require training on how they can be able to handle those particular disputes. So we also looked at the complaint reporting and referral systems, and majority of the respondents feel that the current available mechanisms may not be adequate for reporting the complaints. So in this particular sense, we can be able to design a curriculum that guides them on reporting. And then in terms of accessibility, complaints indicated that there is partial access, and note that reporting complaints is not accessible to all. Maybe they are partially accessible. So in terms of mobile and online reporting, 98% of the respondents indicated that they never heard of the mobile and online respondent, and they indicated that they would really appreciate using online and reporting for alternative for solid waste management sector. So what are some of the recommendations? There needs to be sustained advocacy campaigns and sensitization and public awareness. There needs to be, the resident association needs to include the environmental champions, and CARA should be able to identify these in all sub-counties, including waste pickers at dump sites for specialized training. There also needs to be decentralization of alternative justice system centers to enable people access these particular services, especially where the resident association management committees and waste pickers resolve issues. There also needs to be capacity building and training, and there needs to be introduction of online and mobile reporting structures that will be able to integrate alternative justice systems. And there also needs to be institutionalization and effective structural management capacity of the resident association committee members, Nyumba Kumi leaders, paralegal and pro bono legal aid service providers. And lastly, there needs to be guiding evaluation framework for monitoring the progress of alternative justice systems of residents. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Japheth. So we quickly move to Nick on the digital service request report presentation. Nick, over to you.
Thank you very much, Omiti, and thanks also to the other panelists who have made the two presentations, clearly setting the stage for our presentation. Allow me to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Nick.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Nixon Tieno. I'm CEO of Nico Green, and will be leading this presentation, but I will be joined by my colleagues. I have quite a number of my colleagues whom we are working with on this system, and they would be able to interject in the middle of the presentation. So we were engaged by CARA to support in developing a digital service request platform to be able to provide support for effective management of the complaints. I think as part of the study, the assessments that have been shared indicate there is a challenge as far as effective reporting and tracking of the complaints regarding service delivery in terms of waste management is concerned. So the system, the platform that we're developing is to contribute to addressing that issue. Our presentation, we have a bit of short time. It's pretty detailed because this really goes into the nitty-gritties of the system, but we'll try to condense it within the time we are given. So our presentation will cover an overview, a bit of definitions. We will take you through the service development lifecycle process, and then we will give a brief presentation of the mobile app prototype that we have developed and the web app prototype. And then we will welcome your feedback and recommendations, particularly to help us understand some of the dynamics of the key stakeholders involved to be able to help us improve on this first prototype towards finalizing the design of the system. So just a quick overview. I believe that so far, based on the context information we have already received from the opening remarks by Mr. Henry, as well as the first two speakers, the panelists, consultants who did the studies, we already understand the challenge, of course, with the accountability and efficiency in the waste management subsector. So this system was conceived to be able to support addressing the issue of effective handling of complaints, to support effectiveness in service delivery and ensure accountability. So that is the objective of this particular assignment, to develop that platform that would contribute to accountable and effective service delivery. So it is going to be both a web-based and also a mobile system. We may be referring to a few words here that are a bit technical for those who are not having the IT background. So we just want us to understand that this platform has two components, as has been mentioned. We have a web and a mobile platform, and the development platforms we are using are there for maybe those who may be interested to understand. You can refer. And when we use these terms, API, that refers to application programming interface. Pentest would be penetration testing, and CDN is content delivery network. Now, we will start, of course, focusing on our presentation of the prototypes. Each of the prototypes we will be looking at issues to deal with user management, from login to managing the profile. We will give you a brief overview of the dashboards, the basic dashboards that the system will have, and then how to process requests, track them, and be able to account for their resolution, and the necessary support and feedback systems that are given. And then, of course, we will address issues to deal with handling of errors and security concerns. So first, allow me just to give us a brief overview of this system development lifecycle process that we have adopted for this project. This wheel gives you a brief overview. We have quite about 7 processes, but I would summarize them into 3. So the first phase, this involves analysis of the needs, user needs, and planning. So we had a preliminary, of course, based on our contracting by Kara. We had a brief from Kara. We were able to analyze this to come up with the key requirements, the specification for the systems. But I must say that, of course, the information that we have is still very preliminary to help us be able to come up with this first prototype. We look forward to the more robust input from the different stakeholders that are involved in this forum to be able to help us see where we can improve, so that that data is more comprehensive, because the system, basically, a system gives you what you feed in it, what you program it to be able to offer. And so if we have not anticipated all the elements adequately, it would mean that our system would also not be able to respond adequately. So in that part of defining project scope and the baseline for the system, we are still open to receive any feedback. Then the second phase, of course, stage is now to develop the prototype design. So we have developed conceptual design, and that is what we are going to present. And as we are presenting this, we'll get the feedback that would inform, of course, our improvement of the design and the prototype that will then be delivered. Of course, we will engage a few of the stakeholders to test this system. And then once it is tested, then we can be able to publish it. That means it would be publicly available for the public to be able to use it. And then we'll be having ongoing maintenance and support. That would be the roadmap throughout the entire life cycle of this system. Of course, the development phase, we are looking forward to be done with this entire process within 2 months. So by end of August, we are looking forward to have completed the design and be in the testing and starting the maintenance of the system. So now I'm going to invite my colleague, Collins. He's going to take us briefly through the presentation of the mobile app prototype. Then I'll come back to take the web app prototype. Welcome, Collins.
Okay, morning, everyone. If you allow me, I'll share my screen. Nixon, can I share mine?
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you. Let me. Okay, I'll just scroll to the mobile app part. Okay. Now for the app mostly focuses, because it's what is supposed to bring the users or the members of Kara to be able to make the complaints and track the complaints and the process. Okay, they track the entire process by which they made the complaint, from when they make it to when they receive a response. So we'll just focus, because of time, we'll focus on the complaint part. But for the login, we have two levels. We have the administrative and we have the users. The administrative is able to control some of the services, some of the requests to be able to view and respond to. Okay, is the screen too small?
Just proceed, Collins. You may not be able to stretch it because it is a slide.
Yeah, let me try a little bit. I hope you can see.
Proceed, please.
Okay. So this is the page where the user makes a complaint, and you can able to see how many you have made. You can see the pending ones, you can see the ones that have been reviewed, and also you can see the ones that you made and you had to withdraw because maybe you found they were common. Also, then we go to the complaint history. You can see your previous complaints. They'll be listed there. Also, another thing, you'll be able to see how many people made a similar request to yours and how it went. And then from that, on this page, you'll be able to see your complaint details. And then another thing that will make it much better, you'll be able to complaints that have been made by other clients and are similar to yours. Clients other users can vote for the same, and you'll be able to submit as a group something similar and track the same thing as a group, everyone as one, just one that has been made by you. Okay, so I think I've gone through that, and then you're able to see, okay, for this part, you can see the settings page. You're able to manage your account. You can see notifications, you get real time. As soon as your response is opened or it has some feedback, you'll be able to see your notifications. Also, the app will allow you, if you need help with accessing the system or you need guidance, you can request for support via the app. And also the app will also give you tips. Then the other one is about will give you information on what the system does and where you can get help. And then now for the user, you can see that's where you manage your account. And then something we added, we need to see to be able to enhance transparency. You'll be able to see who is accessing your account and track requests that have been made maybe by another user on your behalf, or somebody, maybe a family member logged in by account to make a complaint. So I think for the app, it mostly focuses on the client. It needs to bring the service to the client to make it easier and more convenient for the client to make a complaint, track the entire process, and receive feedback. If they don't receive feedback, they can also make another complaint. So for me, I think I'll hand over to the web. I'll hand over to Nixon to lead the web part.
Thank you very much, Felix. You can stop your sharing your screen so that I may share. Okay, I'm sharing my screen and I'm live now. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So here I'm going to focus on the web portal. Basically, the database on the mobile and the web application would be the same. So it means whether a user accesses the system from their mobile or from the desktop, they would be able to get the same experience. So that needs to be taken care of. What I'm going to focus on now is basically the management backend side of the platform to help us understand how the system would operate in terms of how the time the complaints are generated, raised by the user up to the time they're resolved or they are transferred. So so far we have prioritized 3 main administration portals. We are considering, of course, adding a 4th one. First, we have the KARA, which is the Kenya. KARA would be kind of a super admin. And then we have the county, which is basically targeted with the service provision. And then we have added the national Environment Complaints Committee, which would be handling some of those complaints that would be transferred to that level. Maybe at the National Environment Complaints Committee, based on the feedback we'll get, we would consider whether we can bring on board other stakeholders like Nairobi Water, WARMA, NEMA, if need be. So I will start with the Kara portal. So this is how the dashboard for the Kara portal would look like. On the main homepage, of course, at any given point, they would be able to have a summary of how many complaints have been received, the users that are using the systems, the number of complaints that have been resolved, and the complaints that are in progress. And also within that homepage, you'll also be able to see the individual complaints, the complaints by their title, category, from which part of the city, the residence estate they are coming from, and who are raised those complaints, and the status of the complaint. So the admin would be able to also see the other sub-admins, those who have been assigned some different roles to undertake within the system. Those would also be able to see there within the summary. So for example, if it's the water sub-department or environment or whatever, they would be able to see that as well. Then on that homepage also, you'll be able to print a report. It will be able to, system will also be able to generate a report in terms of how the complaints handling is happening. So here you can see, for example, a monthly report on the number of complaints that have been received and how they're being reported. Of course, this is very important in terms of policy making. Probably you want to log trends to be able to understand some key dynamics around waste management and service delivery. So you can, of course, easily print these reports without necessarily having to take any robust study or survey. Then, of course, within this portal, also they'll be able to see the resident associations. As we are aware, Kara has many resident associations. So you'll be able to track and have the summary of the activities, the number of complaints that are generated for a particular resident association that already has account or are logged into the system. So that is, of course, the brief summary there. You'll also have to see a summary in terms of the category of complaints. We have not yet exhausted the categorization, but there could be complaints related with waste being not collected or waste disposed in the wrong place. We could be having other complaints around probably payment, and we'll be working, of course, with you and the key concerned departments, especially the county and the community, to be able to identify the different types of complaints that we would have there. Then the other part, you'll be able to look at the transferred complaints. Here, transferred complaints would be that as we have different level of users in the system, for example, if a complaint would be raised by a member of a residents association and they converse, and probably it is an issue that could be addressed at the residents association level. So that complaint would be resolved at that level. But if it is not being resolved at that level, then it would be escalated to the next level, probably to Kara. That may address it. If Kara cannot address it, then the Kara will have to transfer that complaint to the next level of resolution, maybe the county. County could transfer that to maybe the waste pickers. Then from there, it may go to a particular department, or it could be resolved there. If not resolved, it will be still escalated to another level, maybe at the NEMA or the Environment Complaint Committee. So all those transferred complaints would be, you'd be able to see the summary log there. So allow me just to go into the details for the sub-admins. We're not picking really major nitty-gritties, but whoever would be assigned within the Kara sub-portal will be able to create an account and assign different users. So that would be the submin account, giving their name, the task they are assigned. So we'll be able to prioritize tasks that are assigned to different sub-admins. So like if you want them to, you give them rights that are equivalent to the responsibilities that are expected to deliver. And so then you'll be able to track and know so-and-so as a sub-admin is able to handle this. And in the manage, of course, of this sub-admin, at any point, you could be able to suspend, you can be able to edit, reassign their roles. And then when we come to the complaints, here we have the interface for new complaints. You'll be able to see the new complaints where they come. And then once the complaints are received, you can manage them. So for example, this is the complaint details. Each complaint will be having a reference ID automatically tagged to it by the system for the ease of tracking. And so then you'll be able to see that category, the complaint, what is it, the nature of the complaint, it is by who, and what it is status. And so as the sub-admin, with this login right, you would probably be able to solve that complaint. And if you're not able to solve it, then you would transfer it to the next responsible user who can be able to handle it, as I already mentioned. Then you have still within the complaints, the section for complaints in progress. So here is where all the complaints that are still not yet resolved would be seen, and the sub-admin users would be able to manage them accordingly. Then we have a section for the resolved complaints. We'll be able to see which complaints are already resolved. You are able to review them, and there would be comment on how they're resolved. And of course, one thing to note that once the complaint has been resolved in the system will be able to push a message to the generator of that complaint, the user who generated that complaint, to their phone via the text or email that they use to register on the system. So you'd be able to easily track the progress of your complaint at every stage until when it is resolved. Then you can also be able to track the transferred complaints. So for example, here, if this is the complaint number, reference ID number, maybe it's transferred to NEC or probably transferred to NEMA or Nairobi Water, because the users within the system, this could not probably be able to handle that. So the system allows you that as well. Then, as I said, the category, we are yet to, of course, think through, and we need, of course, the stakeholders to be able to help us also synthesize what are the kinds of categories of complaints that we anticipate. So we would be able to post them, describe them, so that when the user is posting their complaint, you don't need to think from it afresh. You just have a pull-down menu of what kinds of complaints you are particularly addressing, so that that is picked. And then that should also help us to be able to use, IoT, basically data aggregation, to be able to categorize and group the complaints, just the way my colleague Collins was mentioning, that you could be able to do either by polling, or the system itself would be able to aggregate those complaints that are of the same nature, maybe arising from the same estate or same area, so that they are able to aggregate them to help those who are supposed to respond to these complaints easily. Then, of course, we'll have a section for residents. Here, basically, we are looking at residents associations. So we will have the opportunity for the residents association. So maybe it is Karengata or it is which residents association, they can be able to, of course, come up with, they will be registered in the system, and they would be able to probably post their complaints as association rather than as individual. And within Kara portal here, Kara has the right to be able to add, suspend, or remove these associations in entirety. The same with the residents. Then quickly allow me to just give us a brief overview of the county portal. So for example, the case of the county of Nairobi. So on the homepage of the portal, they would be able to have the summary, just as in the case of the Kara. They would see new, transferred, solved, and resolved complaints. And here we'll have also the waste workers. So what is key in this portal, we need to remember that the county would not have some of the rights that the Kara has. So we'll only assign them the rights that are necessary for them to deliver the tasks that they are supposed to deliver. So waste workers, particularly for here to note, is that the county will be given the opportunity to upload, because we know that county, some of the services they offer by themselves, so they will add their departments, the sub-departments that are responsible, so that whenever a complaint is raised or a service issue, a concern is raised, they're able to assign that to the particular sub-department that is responsible, but also they're able to assign it to any of the waste workers, the contracted waste workers that are handling that particular service. And it would be worth noting that the same could also apply for the residents association, because we're also aware that some residents associations have actually privately contracted their waste handlers. So if they need also to have an easier way to engage with those constructed waste handlers, privately contracted, we will be able to allow them, the system will allow them to be able to add them on the portal, so that they're able to engage with them and get feedback on how they're delivering the service. So I won't go much into the detail of how, but of course you can add the waste worker, you can manage them, and you can assign them a task. So for example, a complaint was raised from Karengata, waste is not collected in a certain area, so you could just pick that particular complaint and assign that particular waste worker to be able to handle or respond to that. The same with the department. Then we have a section on the resources that this will include, of course, user manual on how to use the system. But if we have any other materials that are of relevance, you know, IEC materials, policy materials, all those we would be able to add them there so that then the people who are using the system can be able to make quick reference. You know, probably you have the phone number, you need the directory of people who to call if a resident is asking a question about a particular issue, but then the person who has the admin right doesn't have that response. They know this is the person to contact. They can easily refer there and respond. Then to the NEC portal, the same. If you come to the dashboard, you will have the summary, basically the summaries and the summaries of the complaints. You know, where are their state, what are their status, who are the users. You're able to log in the data and the trends. And then, of course, you have come into here at the portal, you can create different users, the subdomain users within that NEC portal. So they could assign whichever ombudsman that they want to respond to particular complaints of certain nature. The same way they can create their, and they can manage them. Details we have just provided the preliminary details, their name, their department, their employee number, you know, role that would be assigned to them. And we will, of course, have different roles. So role one could be probably can only respond, or this will regard a particular issue. So we will, of course, as we are going to engage with these stakeholders in the second stage of the prototype, would be to clearly define what those roles and mark them so that we anticipate exactly what the system would be doing. Then, of course, the same interface for complaints. You'll still be able to see new complaints, the complaints in progress, the ones that have been resolved, and the ones that have been transferred. And then the other component that we have thought about also adding, that besides this, you know, structured process of the complaint moving and tracking, we are also considering adding a function for chat, where, of course, those who are registered, the users of the system, can have a platform for engaging. You know, you can share talks, communicate, chats on any particular issue, not necessarily on complaint. Of course, there's a disclaimer there that we have to be careful to see how we manage that it doesn't necessarily override the main function, the flow of the information of the system. So that, in a nutshell, is a brief overview of how the system would work. We are working on the portal for the residents association, sorry, the admin portal for the resident associations. And then we are considering, of course, if we'll be guided by Kara and the stakeholders here, the other auxiliary service providers, like I mentioned, for example, the Nairobi Water, who are dealing with the water and wastewater issues, or, you know, NEMA, or that we can also add for them user portals so that they are able to easily be integrated into the system for a comprehensive and effective handling of the complaints. So with those many remarks, I just want to conclude our presentation at that moment, at that point, and invite feedback and especially clarity in terms of the different waste categories, the users, maybe the concerns that we may have, that will help us, of course, improve this prototype as we work towards the finer details of the system. And of course, lastly, also suggestions on the name. For now, we call the system Kara Care, but of course, if there are more exciting names and proposals, those are also welcome. Thank you very much. Back to your meeting.
Thanks, Nick, for that wonderful presentation. We appreciate. So we will go directly into, before we get reactions, I would want to allow the UNDP Kenya Kenya team. I think Dan Juma is here to represent the team, to give a brief remarks as they comment on the presentations that have been done. So over to you, Dan, before I open it up for reactions.
Okay, thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. I'm not able to have my video, so it's fine. I think I'll just speak this way. My name is Dan Juma, and I'm the team leader in charge of governance and inclusive growth at the UNDP. So I'll be making these remarks on behalf of the resident representative from the UNDP. And first of all, let me thank you for the opportunity to join you in this very important occasion of the launch of this project. I see at some point we were 104 online participants. So let me again thank the participants as well for that. I think that's a great show. All protocols observed. I've also seen fellow panelists from the different organizations, including NEMA, the Ministry of Environment, and of course, the executive director of CARA, who spoke earlier, and the 3 consultants or 4 consultants. Let me go straight into my remarks. It's a great pleasure and honor to join you today, though virtually, as we mark the launch of the Legal Aid Project by the Kenya Association of Resident, the Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations. The CARA is implementing Call 6 Access to Justice project in Nairobi County. The project does aim to enhance access to environmental justice, as we've heard from the presenters, and really great to hear the groundwork that has been done in terms of the needs assessment, and of course, just seeing where we are with the baseline as well. This project is part of the European Union support to the Program for Legal Empowerment and Aid Delivery in Kenya, which is anchored on UNDP's Amkeni wa Kenya Civil Society Strengthening Facility, which has to date supported 33 civil society organizations. Colleagues and gentlemen and ladies, there are more than 7 billion of us in the world, and we are producing waste every day. Staggering half of that waste isn't collected, treated, or safely disposed of, and it is causing a global waste crisis. Not just waste crisis, environmental health crisis, a governance crisis as well. In Kenya, and specifically Nairobi, less than 60% of generated waste ends up at the final disposal point, and only about 10% of it is generated, is recycled. It's important to note that waste management has strong linkages to a range of other global challenges such as health, climate change, poverty reduction, food and resource security, and sustainable production and consumption. If you follow UNDP's work, last year we had our 30th Human Development Report, and it was titled The Next Frontier, the Human and the Anthropocene. And basically it was just an adjustment of the Human Development Index to make sure that it is also catering for the planetary pressures, the ecological pressures. And so this intervention by CARA and the colleagues who are here does remind us of the necessity for us to take very seriously the interlinkages between the waste management and the other capabilities, whether it's health, whether it's climate change, whether it's food security and safety, and so forth. I think the most important thing, of course, for UNDP is that we know that poor and unsustainable waste management systems are products of unjust urban governance decisions and processes, which often disadvantage and exclude the poor and vulnerable. And it was good to see in the chat box the different Vijijis represented here. We know that poor waste management also generates injustices through exacerbating conflicts that are related to inequitable sharing of burdens and benefits of waste, with the poor and of course the marginalized being most heavily affected. The CARA project, of course, takes cognizance of this fact by focusing not only on the management of waste, but also on the actors within the solid waste management sector. And I think for us as UNDP, given our work on governance, supporting accountability, which is a word that I have heard of being used here, making sure there's access to justice, we recognize that waste management can benefit the most vulnerable and promote social inclusion and cohesion. We do indeed have an environment and resilience unit where one of the interventions we've had is the concept of making sure that taka, what we always call taka, can also be used, to address problems of livelihoods and to make sure that we are using the circular economy as well for the benefit of all of us. Now, of course, there is also a human rights, and now I'm not going to read the speech. Let me just say a few things about the human rights connection as well, and the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, which enjoins or requires the member states to peaceful and inclusive societies by providing access to justice and building effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And it was great to hear from the studies already indicated here the different spaces where alternative justice systems can be found on this sector. Globally, UNDP has been implementing a access to justice promotion initiatives in more than 90 countries, with a focus on providing effective but also accessible and affordable remedies to justice problem. And this is why and where the alternative justice systems do come in. I note that in Kenya, majority of the population not only lack the resources to access justice institutions, but also have low or legal literacy or awareness. And therefore, it is in that context that we do believe that this program will enhance legal and awareness, and of course enhance access to alternative justice systems. I think also great to see the integration of technologies and the app that has been shown to us here, really seeing how do we make sure that there's an uptake of these technological advances to address these justice problems. Let's also recall the constitutional imperative. If we recall Article 42, I believe, talks about everybody having the right to a clean and healthy environment. I believe Article 43B or thereabouts talks about reasonable standards of sanitation. And there are whole lots of, even the national values under Article 10, when it speaks about accountability, sustainable development. These are imperatives that it's in that backdrop that UNDP is partnering with CARA to support this initiative. Let me, as I end, just say one or two things on the CARA's project. I recognize that the project is not only expected to contribute to the enhancement of access to justice within the waste management sector. And here, I think I was already seeing, looking at solid waste management in the most broadest terms, noting the intersections with the other waste forms. I've seen noise even was put there and so forth. One area I think that is important is to make sure that nobody is left behind. And I think very great to see, I saw the Vijiji youth. These youth within the waste management sector are a highly vulnerable group that suffer economic deprivation, social marginalization, and a lack of access to legal and human rights. And therefore, we do believe that this intervention by CARA in the spirit of leaving no one behind is timely in addressing matters of environmental justice. Let me end, and this is now the final one, by saying that we do believe that we will ensure an integrated approach. As I said, the governance portfolio within the UNDP office also works with county governments. We do support them on policies, institutional strengthening, not just for the county bureaucracy, but to ensure that delivery of services is very key. And we know that sanitation, environmental health, water, and related rights are, within the function of county governments. And so as we do that support, we hope that we'll build the partnerships and synergies with key government institutions, of course, that are represented here, including the environmental architecture, the PCC, NEC, and the NEMA, to ensure that we are pushing for the enjoyment of rights for all persons in Kenya. Allow me finally to congratulate Kara for the launch of this project. I wish you the very best as you begin implementation and look forward to continued partnership towards improving access to justice in Kenya, particularly for the poor and vulnerable. I also assure you and the stakeholders present of UNDP's continued commitment to working collaboratively with resident associations such as Kara, civil society organizations, private sector. I believe the app that was being shown to us is by private sector. And of course, the government and all key stakeholders in contributing to the realization of the SDGs and Vision 2030, which do tell us the place of environmental health, peace with our planet. And let me end there and thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Dan Juma. We appreciate the support that UNDP has given us to pilot this project. And we are hopeful that as we scale up, we will continue getting your support. Allow me to open it up for a few minutes for the reactions from the presentations which have been done before we allow other guests to quickly give their comments and feedback. So we are also running a poll. Please respond to the question on your screen. We will post it. We would love to get as much feedback as we can to help us improve on the implementation of this project. So we open it up for questions, reactions for some few minutes before we allow our invited guests to continue making their remarks. So any question? I'm not seeing any hands being raised. If there are no questions, okay, there's a hand. Elizabeth? Elizabeth, unmute your mic.
Hello.
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 Yes, Owiti, go ahead.
Yes. Unaona upande wa Kawangware, nauliza hivi. Upande wa Kawangware, unapata kama huku maisha inakuanga nomare. So unapata kama watu wengi hawana hii mambo ya hii digital ama smartphones. So wataingilia aje kwa hii app yenyu hii. Alafu ya pili, huku kwetu huku kama Kawangware tuseme slums ya Nairobi. Yes. Maisha ya watu inakuanga maisha ya kuishi kuhamahama due to sometimes insecurity, quarreling na mambo kama hayo.
Yes.
Or which you find it very difficult kuform kitu inaitwa residential association, hiyo mambo ya watu kukuja pamoja hiyo. So areas kama hizi zetu mutafanya aje ili hii mambo hizi services itufikie? Alafu ya tatu, sisi kama watu wa Kawangware ama Dagoretti mutakuja huku lini ili mutupee hii mambo ya training, capacity building hii hata sisi wenyewe tujihusishe na mambo ya alternative justice system hii, rather than kwenda kwa chief. Hata sisi wenyewe tunaweza soti mambo maneno yenye inatokelezea kwa boma ama kwa mtaa yetu sisi wenyewe, badala ya kwenda kwa chief na hii hongo yao wanatuumiza sana. Asante.
Thank you. Elizabeth, are you now ready?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Bob.
My question is, are you planning on bado kutarget nini environs kama mi naishi pali kunaitwa Kikuyu, ni like 20 kilometers from Nairobi. Mika hii side. Alafu kitu ingine
Bob, bado uko kwa line?
Niko kwa line.
Ongea.
Kitu ingine ni mambo ya nini ya sanitization. Kutumia football tournaments hazisaidii juu nikaa 1 month. Kuna ligi zingine za FKF zenye zina runningi for like 10 months na hizo teams zimekosa uniforms, zimekosa pesa za nini. So if tunaweza sema, mnaweza sema mta print t-shirt zenyu zenye mtapatia teams zenye zinacheza tuseme division 1 ama county leagues, hapo itasaidia bala ya kuwa na tournament ya 1 month then inaisha hivyo. Na kuna tournament zingine zenye zina run for like 10 months na watu wako na mashida. That's all.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, I think we can quickly move to the next session. So I'll allow the Dandora Takabank Youth Group, Kennedy Ochieng. Kennedy Ochieng, the floor is yours.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. I'm Kennedy Ochieng, and I do come from a group called Walsi Youth Group. It is situated in Dandora, Nairobi County, and the group is made up of 23 active members of different tribes, but with a common vision. The group is non-political and assists its members and the community around achieve their utmost potential. Now, we also make sure environment is clean. Now, on waste management, we used to have a Taka bank, or you can call it trash bank. Now, this Taka bank served as a collection station where responsible consumers disposed of their recyclable branded waste, earn points, redeem, and get giveaways such as foodstuffs. That is, let's say, maize flour and maybe sugar. Now, this Taka bank was a unique and sustainable way for waste management in our community and the entry point to youth and women accessing opportunities. It was manned by youth who took the collected trash to the recyclers and the brand owners. Now, it was leveraging technology through an online platform where the consumers or users to deposit their branded waste and earn points. Now, through this Taka bank, we realized some advantages, whereby one, we had a cleaner, healthier, and a better environment with no illegal landfills. And then two, stamped out dependency syndrome among the youths who were seen vulnerable. Now three, the branded and recyclable wastes were handed over to the right hands, that is recyclers and the brand owners. But having said that, we've got some challenges. We face some challenges in the community, and maybe we can all ask ourselves why waste culture in Kenya is wanting and why. Now, one, there is this lack of the stakeholders. I mean, there is no enough support system. There's no enough support system. And maybe we can again ask ourselves, is it common for youth groups or CBOs to elevate themselves to private service providers? That is one, you know. And actually, let me go to point 2. We've got low awareness.
2 more minutes.
Yes, low awareness. Hello?
Proceed. I was just saying 2 more minutes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Dan, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Yes, this is Ken, Kennedy. Yes, now point 2, the challenge is there is low awareness. That is, much hasn't been done from the government relevant bodies on how to handle and dispose waste. So actually, people should stop mixing waste and segregate waste at source. That is, if you want to achieve the optimum. You see, consumers wengi hawajui kuhandle waste right from its source. That is kutoka tu kwa nyumba, and that is something that wanafaa kuelezwa. And then point 3, the other challenge is lack of proper enforcement. I mean, failure to enforce or carry out an order. Or you see, ukitembea tao ama palipopote utapata wanasema usikojoe hapa, na ndo unapata hapo ndio watu sasa wanapii mbaya sana, you see. And then challenge number 4 na ndio kubwa zaidi, ni no producer responsibility. You see, every manufacturer is expected to have the take back system scheme, and in this case, which is not the case. You see, by doing that replaces the end of life concept with the restoration, and that's the circular economy which we all want to achieve. So actually hizo points nne ni key sana, ni challenges kubwa sana zenye, na hata hapo kwa lack of opportunity of purpose on the stakeholders. You see, hata kanjo, that is NEMA, space ya kufanyia shughuli, you get like utalipishwa 10,000 per annum, that is per year, you see, and it's really unbecoming. And then again hata ukiangalia the hiyo do wana charge ama fee wana charge, wanataka kucharge kwa hiyo ya environment impact assessment, you see. So those are the challenges that those are the key challenges zenye tuko nazo sana hapa Kenya na hadi kwa mtaa, na hizo ndo zinatuangusha hadi zina demoralize watu kuengage kwa waste management. Otherwise, thank you guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. Allow me to invite a representative from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Georgina.
Yes.
Georgina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Omiti. Thank you, Henry. I want to appreciate all the organizers of this particular engagement. And with all protocols observed, my name is Georgina Washuka. I work at Kenya Association of Manufacturers under the Policy Research and Advocacy Unit. I focus on regulatory and compliance. I'm here on this platform representing my CEO, Ms. Phyllis Wakiaga. She's on her annual break, so thank you very much. For those who don't know CAM, CAM is Kenya Association of Manufacturers, a lead business membership organization representing the manufacturing sectors with over 1,000 membership. And we are spread out in the country in 7 regions with 14 sectors in production process. As CAM, we have actually embraced the issue of environment and sustainability, and our governance has been restructured to ensure that this is actually something that the manufacturing sector is embracing. And I want to appreciate the comments made by Mr. Dan Juma from UNDP and the issues that our last presenter has made, Ken, on issues of sustainable development, issues of having activities or programs that actually are promoting environmental sustainability. So I also want to appreciate the presenters and the work that they've already done. This is a very important activity or initiative, and it goes towards, we're all going towards the issue of addressing our waste challenges. As CAM, we have taken some initiatives where we even have a Center for Green Growth and Circular Economy, where we have experts who come in and try to encourage our members and build capacity on them on compliance. And this does not just limit ourselves, we don't limit ourselves to issues to do with the solid waste, but we also have water and air. And we look forward that this platform or this initiative will expand its scope to include issues to do with the other waste generated in the environment, because there are other emerging trends that are there, like the e-waste and everything else. We engage government and ministry and departments just on conversations with regard to environmental sustainability. And I am happy to say that we've actually had a very successful previous engagement with CARA, where we were able to engage about 11 counties, and we were helping them come up with the solid waste management policy and bill. And quite a number of them were able to uptake this process. So we appreciate the team from Henry and what we've been able to do. And like Kennedy has just said, I know there's the issues of extended producer responsibility, and you cannot leave private sector and more so industry in this conversation as you go forward, because from where we sit, we are the producers of the goods that are consumed that generate waste at household level. So the issue of addressing policy and regulation with regard to waste is very key, and we look forward to supporting these processes. As CAM, we've actually already started establishing EPR schemes. We have one that is currently focusing on plastic waste, which we all know has had its own challenges, and it has been a key pain point for this country. And with this initiative, this is KEPRO, Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organizations. We have all the stakeholders that are there that coming to see how they can address the issues of plastic waste, from collection to recycling, and ensuring that we minimize waste that is generated into the environment. We all know that if we're able to manage our waste from the overall, the bigger picture, what we are trying to address here in terms of complaints will reduce. I know as at this morning, I've been able to receive the policy bill. We know we worked on together, and I'm sure Kara, we were also engaged in this. We had the National Sustainable Waste Management Policy. I'm happy to see that it has been gazetted by a special supplement number 72, that was on 30th of April. And this is a progressive way of seeing how, as a country, and not just Nairobi, how we can address our waste management. The policy just guides on how we can be able actually to reduce, to use the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle principles, so that we are able to collectively address the issue of waste management. It also introduces the take back schemes that Kennedy has just talked about, and issues to do with green financing. All these are just, and also just implementing quite a number of the SDGs on which promote conservation of the environment. So we are happy to be part of this dialogue, and we take note there are some challenges that are there, and probably that is what Mr. Owiti was from Kawangware was talking about. How do we get even the most, those communities that actually cannot engage on such platforms be able to participate in this process, just to understand what legislation is there, what they can take advantage of, how can we move our technology towards green production, green consumption, how can we just change our way of thinking, our attitude, because some of the things that are coming up in some of these policies is how do we even separate waste at household level to make it an economic source or value, so that, if you're able to separate my waste at household level before it's collected by the waste collectors, the person who moves it to the next level, the recyclers or the people who reintroduce it into their processes, they're able to take advantage and make use of that waste. And that way we'll be able to engage our youth and create jobs and just contribute towards the overall economy. The policies that we're having are also bringing up issues like coming up with the material recovery facilities. And I see this initiative is sort of being piloted in Nairobi. And right now, what I know is that we have like 2 places where Nairobi is already trying to create this platform, where actually, as the waste is collected by either the private sector or the county government, it is taken to these facilities in a way that it's actually been separated to create an economic value to it. The other thing, as a challenge that we've observed as industry, we note that I think 2/3 of the waste in Nairobi is organic waste. So we hope this platform will also be able to see how it can incorporate those challenges and addresses through this project, so that we ensure that even the organic waste, if we're able to process it into something that is like the manure, the compost, the briquettes and everything, it adds economic value, and in overall, we'll be able to improve our environment in general. So I think those are my comments, and I want to appreciate this, and I want to assure CEO Henry and the partners and stakeholders on board that as come, we will be able to come in and support from our end, because issues of circular economy or waste management is a closed loop. You cannot leave one stakeholder out. So thank you. Those are my brief remarks, Mr. Omiti, and over and back to you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Georgina. Yes, of course, the issue of circular economy, very important. We plan to upscale this to really tackle the issue of, with our partners, to really tackle the issue of waste management, and more so the organic, which is currently the highest. We move to National Environment Complaints Committee. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. John Chumo. The floor is yours, Dr.
Thank you so much, Somiti, and I want to take this opportunity. My name is Dr. John Kipkorir Chumo, the Secretary to the National Environment Complaints Committee, the Environmental Ombudsman. I want to appreciate the CEO, my friend Henry Dan Chuma from UNDP, our sister Georgina from Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and all the presenters who have actually done a very good job today. I want to say that as National Environment Complaints Committee, which is the Environmental Ombudsman, given the authority through an act of parliament to ensure that the people of Kenya enjoy a clean and healthy environment. And also to appreciate the fact that this initiative that Kenya Association, Kenya Alliance Residents Association, GARA, and UNDP and your other stakeholders have come up with especially a process that would be able to appreciate the alternative justice system. National Environment Complaints Committee, being an institution given that mandate by the law, we receive complaints and do investigation on the same in our own motion or also otherwise. And therefore, especially the digital platform will really take us to another level in terms of ensuring that we reach to the people, especially in the area of waste management. Allow me then, Mr. Omito, as I had actually talked to Henry, that I wanted to just give you an overview, a small clip PowerPoint within the 10 minutes that you had given us, so that we can be able to appreciate what we do and also how we can actually come on board together. And therefore, I want to call upon Mr. Simon Katui, who is our head of research, to just make that presentation. Karibu. Simon.
And also a quick reminder to the team that we are running a poll. Please respond to it.
Simon. Simon.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Simon Katui from the National Environmental Complaints Committee, and I request the host to let me share a small PowerPoint presentation that I have. Kindly allow me to share what I have here on my screen. Hello?
Can share.
Yes. Ready no chair. I'm not able to share what I have. Please, kindly.
Okay, in a minute it will be sorted, Simon.
I'm okay. Hello, I'm still waiting.
Yes, Simon, in a minute, you are being added as a panelist, then they allow you to share your screen.
All right.
Please respond to the poll that we are running. It will be running for 10 minutes.
All right.
You can share, Simon.
All right, I think I'm in. Thank you very much. I want to make a small presentation and to run this slideshow from the beginning. This is the National Environmental Complaints Committee. And for the introductory part, we said we established the EMCA, the Environmental Management Coordination Act, from Section 31 to 36. And previously, we were known as the Public Complaints Committee, PCC, and we started operations in the year 2003. The functions of the committee are basically to investigate complaints about the condition of the environment, or when we receive them, or also on our own motion, we can also investigate suspected cases of environmental degradation and report the same to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of environment. The second major mandate is to undertake public interest investigation on behalf of the citizens on environmental matters, and also do any other duties assigned by the CS. Our mission is to facilitate access to environmental justice to the public by providing a forum for expeditious and affordable environmental conflict resolution, and to contribute to environmental policy development free of charge to the citizens of Kenya. And we have a vision to be the leading environmental ombudsman in the world. How do we investigate our complaints? When we receive these complaints, we are able to file them in our register, and we also have power to require assistance from any person in the course of our investigations. And we have a nationwide mandate to conduct investigations in all regions in Kenya. Now, you can either bring a complaint to us by writing or orally, a letter, or even calling. These days, you're also receiving through social media, which you have a strong presence. And then when you get them, you're able now to undertake further investigation to see how it can be done. It can take various forms. We can do site visits, summon witnesses, conduct consultative forums, barazas. We also have the power to hold full hearings and also undertake scientific sampling where we think it's necessary. And then when we make our recommendations, they are forwarded to the Cabinet Secretary for another lead agencies for implementation. Now, investigations are conducted on several other effects of the environmental degradation, usually from waste management, land use and land use changes, deforestation, and all aspects of pollution, including non-compliance to EIA, licensing, and other legal provisions, which you will see. Now, the interesting diagram here on the categories of complaints investigated, you can see waste management forms the bigger chunk, at being at 27% of most of the investigations that we conduct, followed by land use and deforestation. So waste management is a big issue to us, as you're able to see shortly. This is the relevant legal framework under which NECC operates. We have the Constitution of Kenya, which you are all aware of. We have Article 42 and 69, which 42 gives us the provision for clean and healthy environment, and 69, the obligation of the state. The functions and powers of the county government on solid waste management specifically include the removal and the dumping of the waste, control air and noise pollution, stormwater management, and sanitation services. The second part I want to touch on is the EMCA, Environmental Management and Coordination Act of 1989. And we are looking at Section 3, which provides for clean and healthy environment for all, and also a duty to safeguard enhance the environment, just as we've seen in the Constitution. Section 31 to 36 relates to establishment and all the functions that the National Environment Complaints Committee handles, but Section 88 refers to the handling of waste materials. Specifically drawn from the same act is the EMCA Waste Management Regulations of 2006, which provides how waste will be managed from collection, transportation, licensing, and ultimate disposal. There are several other laws that also touch on waste management, as you can see, and I invite you to have a look at them at your own time, and we go through them. Now, the other regulations that we also under development. By NEMA, we have the e-waste management regulations, asbestos, and the used oil, and also tires. What happens to the tires after we remove them from the vehicles? Now, there are some figures we have on Nairobi County on solid waste management, which I'm sure we have them, but I want us to look at the figure of 22 tons of waste per day that are generated in Kenya, 2,200 tons being in Nairobi per day. And you see, most of it is organic at 60 to 70%. And this organic waste is, if separated, is very easy to manage. Plastic at 10%. And the worrying part is the medical waste and medical waste, which is slightly lower. The main sources of waste in households, manufacturing, commerce, healthcare, and despite the efforts to encourage reuse, recycling, and recovery, the amount of solid waste keeps on getting higher. The challenges to solid waste management, what we have been able to identify is that we lack designated or licensed waste management facilities. There is poor servicing of the vehicles that are come to collect the waste from us, and then the funding from the local authorities, which is the county governments. How much money are they willing to invest in infrastructure for solid waste management? And also the rest of the issues as we can see there. From this, we make a few recommendations on what we think should be done for solid waste particularly, which is policy dialogue and analysis. And I'm happy we're having this discussion today because I've been able to see a lot of positive ways that we're able to resolve issues on solid waste management and also on other issues. We need to enforce the laws or the legal framework on the environment and also get a mechanism of ensuring that the county assembly approves of monies or funds that will be used to ensure that we safeguard our environment. Stakeholder participation, I'm happy with the forum that we're having right now and encourage you that we continue this discussion. And again, public education and awareness, both formal and informal, which will now be able to create the focus on environmental accountability. Capacity building, of course, we need to do the human resource trainings and infrastructure capacity. Technology transfer, where we need to develop data banks on how you're doing. I'm happy with what Kara presented, and we're able to explore the idea further to see how well it will work to ensure that all the cases we receive are adequately addressed and resolved to Wananchi's satisfaction. Devote efforts, the 3 R's, that's reduce, reuse, and recycle, and the 2 E's of energy and efficiency. And of course, closely tied to technology transfer is research and development on how we can look at alternatives, cleaner production, waste minimization, and such like. Now, allow me to go through a few photographs of some of the issues we have seen in this town. This was supposed to be a collection point, but it's actually looking like a whole waste management center on its own. Plastic bags polluting our water bodies in the ocean. This is a major threat to aquatic life, something that we need to deal with very urgently. Burning of waste. We are releasing all sorts of carcinogenic pollutants into the atmosphere, and you can look at the small school-going kids and wonder how their health is going to be affected by that pollution. Urban pollution of waste. You can see now we are encroaching onto the roads. This is a very common sight in Nairobi and other urban areas. Drainages are getting clogged by all sorts of waste. And the stagnant water is a cause for human health aspects, so that we are breeding places for, and also spread cholera. Undeveloped plots in Nairobi are becoming dam sites, so to say. So as this is Kamukunji area, although this is getting washed into the river. This is Karen, somewhere in Karen. And the Kilicho Kubwa. Complaints on Kilicho Kubwa are constant, and the pollution upstream from continues to be a headache. Medical waste, there are some unscrupulous fellows who actually take medical waste into a dam site, and it's banned and exposed to kids and all, everybody working there. And the health aspect becomes. Now, allow me to look at the nexus between alternative justice systems and the NECC in rolling out its mandate. One, we all know that the alternative justice system is an informal justice system that allows people to resolve their issues. I like what another gentleman said, that there is a way that things can be sorted at the local level without having to go to court. Okay, so they are considered advantageous of a formal justice system because they are participatory, time efficient, and also cost effective. These are issues when you have outstanding issues within the community, you are able to sort them at your own level and proceed. And then, you know, the process of the judicial system, when you go to court, it will be lengthy. You may not be able to follow the formal justice system. And if you opt for alternative justice system, you are able to get more harmony within the community, and your solutions, maybe if you're looking at environmental conservation, you'll be able to achieve more through that. Now, there are several models of alternative justice systems, but we at NECC just concentrate on 2, which the first one is the autonomous AGS institutions, where we are saying people within the community through the CBOs and other organizations are able to work independently and sort the issues without swooping to any other regulator. The second one is the third-party institution annex AGS institution. This is where now the people in the community, when they differ on a certain issue, are able to approach a third party, usually through government chiefs or social welfare workers, who now is able to help them negotiate through their issues and be able to resolve them. Now, for the NECC, our role in alternative justice systems, one will be looking at our core function, which is investigations of environmental complaints. So whatever we receive from members of the public or what we see through social media, we are able to bring the 2 parties together and as a sort of alternative dispute resolution Say where a factory is said to be polluting the adjacent environment. You're able to bring the people from that community to see the systems within the factory so that they're able to be satisfied that indeed the factory does not release waste to the environment. And again, if they do, they're able to resolve that and ensure that it doesn't happen again. Now, the other thing is public awareness on creating sensitization on issues of environment. Every time we deal with an environmental complaint, we are dealing with a community. In this community, through talking to them and through the investigation process, we are able to make them aware of what the importance of environmental awareness and also how they can also sort issues and identify the third-party systems like maybe the CARA, who will be able to help them manage the environment, especially in the informal environment, informal settlements, on how they can manage their waste so that we end up with a cleaner environment and a happier community. That is all for us, but you can always contact us on our website shown there, www.necc.go.ke. We have a hotline number, which is easier to memorize, 0722-510-510. And of course, our email address is info@necc.go.ke. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Chuma. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Please unmute your mic. Dr.
Is that referring to which Dr. Is it me?
Dr. Chumo, we just want him to close, or can we move to the next speaker? That is Dr. Chumo still with us?
Thank you so much, Mr. Omiti. I want to take this opportunity to thank you and the whole team. I think we have met our presentation, and I want to assure you and make the recommendation that one, we are committed as National Environment Complaints Committee to ensure that we partner together with all the stakeholders that you have actually brought on board, especially on this digital platform. We are going to be, we are really excited because we really want our people, our citizens to really get in touch and actually do work together so that we can be able to move with speed. I think for us as NECC and as Ministry of Environment, our objective is to ensure that the environment is clean and everybody is brought on board to ensure that we have a circular economy in terms of management of our waste. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to really being part and parcel and a serious partner in this commitment that we have actually brought. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. and thanks for the assurance. Now we move to the next speaker, and that is Cynthia Sakami of NEMA. Over to you, Cynthia.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, Cynthia, go ahead.
Thank you very much. As stated, my name is Cynthia Sakami. I work within the Legal Services Department of the Authority. I'm here on behalf of my Director General, Mr. Mamo B. Mamo, who is unable to join us this morning because of other engagements. Please allow me to convey his apologies. Right away, I would like to, first of all, start by acknowledging the presence of the panelists present from the CEO CARA, the UNDP representative, the young man who has just spoken from the Dandora Tech Park Youth Group, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers representatives, Ms. Washuka, Dr. Chuma and team from the National Environment Complaints Committee, as well as the other panelists that are coming after me, that is Nairobi Metropolitan Services, as well as a representative from the task force, and our mother ministry being the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. I am very glad to hear and the initiative that CARA has taken to launch this project on access of environmental justice through alternative justice system. It is timely, not just within the sector, but also as one of the issues identified by the Constitution, challenging us to adopt alternative justice system in an effort to guide administration of justice, as well as to quickly resolve issues emanating from disputes within the sector. As the authority, we are the principal government agency on matters environmental. The authority works in the areas of policy formulation, development of legislation, as well as being the regulator in the industry. Allow me to quickly delve into the thematic topic for today. And first of all, is to point out that alternative justice system has really grown of late in the country, even following the alternative justice system policy launched just the other day by the former Chief Justice, and the areas that were already identified as imperative in terms of solving disputes in the country. It has also been a front runner in the global push for timely and cost-effective dispute resolution. And as the authority, we constantly engage with members of the public and have identified areas in which solid waste management and the issues that arise from that particular sector. For instance, with this development in mind, the authority developed the Alternative Dispute Resolution Framework of 2020 that was just launched last year, that identifies the several areas of conflict and matters that can be administered or at least addressed through alternative dispute resolution. The authority has taken up several models of the same, and key of which is facilitation, in which we use the expertise within the authority to mediate through the particular issues. Another one that we have quickly embraced is traditional justice systems. For instance, at the National Environment Tribunal, we had about 13 appeals filed before the tribunal on issues of solid waste, 7 of which are from Nairobi County. And out of the 7, we were able to conclude 6 through alternative justice resolution system. And one of which is that the indigenous residents within the county, such as the Nubian community in Kibra and the Maasai community, in terms of management of solid waste collection centers, and we were able to put in place and also to reinforce these traditional justice systems in terms of negotiating and amicably resolving the issue. Another one that we have had, particularly in solid waste management, is negotiation, not within Nairobi County so far, but we have been able to handle this with Wajir County, as well as Kakamega County on the issues of solid waste management. And I believe that this model will be imperative and of good use to be applied within Nairobi County. Just as the previous speaker has mentioned, Ms. Washuka had mentioned it, as well as the presentation from the National Environment Complaints Committee, the challenges that we face in adoption of circular economy and the mitigation measures that we can have in place before we have that implemented right from the household level. As I was stating, the authority in its effort to embrace alternative justice system has provided this framework that is also entrenched in law, informed by the Constitution, the environment policy, as well as AMCA and its regulations. And Mr. Gitahi from National Environment Complaints Committee has clearly brought out the regulations that are available on AMCA. And also informed that one of the issues that challenges that we're having, especially in the solid waste management within Nairobi County, is the emergence of the criminal aspect in the disputes that arise from it, and how do we sustainably resolve the same disputes. We have been able, as the authority, within the ADR framework, also incorporated the Criminal Procedure Code and the Criminal Procedure Plea Bargaining Rules that inform in terms of negotiated compliance and mitigation of the same, and we have been able to effectively utilize this within Huruma area. And we are happy to report that within that area, we have been able to get very good feedback, and it is on an improvement tangent from the same. Just as I conclude, it is imperative to note that proper and effective waste management has been a challenge, not just within the capital city, but in Kenya as a general. It is integral that to address this, in terms of awareness and education of members of the public, right from the initial stages, being the basic education stages, up until awareness of members. And I'm glad that Kara, through this initiative, has identified that as a stakeholder sensitization is integral for this resident association, residents of Nairobi, and even every member that is within the city. This framework has identified the stakeholders, and I'm happy to see that within the report, the same has been reflected, and intends to engage the same throughout, and also to work with an organization such as this, Kara, and this initiative to advance that further. The framework that the authority refers to has provided for its voluntary measure in terms of we can get complaints, whether from members of the public, from resident association themselves, from individual entities, and be able to attend to the said complaint. Other than that, in identifying disputes within the solid waste management sector, we have had either matters filed before the Environment and Land Court, as well as the National Environment Tribunal on solid waste management that have been flagged for possible alternative justice system in terms of the method that we are presented with, that litigation does not guarantee a win for all, and the authority is clear that a win for every particular party is important because of environmental governance, and as well as to ensure sustainability of the environment. Another that we've had in terms of identifying these particular areas is that we have had the incidents app that is available on Apple Store, as well as Android Store and Google Store, where we have been receiving the said complaints, and together with the incidents team has been attending to the same and instituting the relevant measures that are provided for under MCA, whether it is through orders, whether it is through barazas, or whether it is through meetings between the different entities. And so far, we have seen that the uptake for players within the dispute themselves willing to take up alternative dispute resolution and hosting each other in terms of amicably resolving the matters. And this, together with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, has been integral and one of the key ones that we have continuously utilized to resolve the said matters. There is no doubt that indeed alternative justice systems within the environment sector holds great promise in an effort to ensure access to justice in a holistic sense of the concept. This launch by Kara in partnership with the EU is timely and welcome, and more so on being strategic to identify integral stakeholders and solid waste management disputes in an effort to realize environmental justice. I would just like to close by emphasizing the authority's commitment to embrace alternative justice systems and to encourage the same in an effort to resolve the disputes. Once again, allow me to congratulate Kara on this noble initiative and its effort in ensuring environmental governance. Let me also just point out that our incidences line remains open, as well as any incidences are reported on the incidents app, and we look forward to working with Kara in ensuring environmental justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the wonderful presentation. We quickly move to the next speaker, that is from Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Mario Kainga, Director, Water and Sanitation. The floor is yours, Mario. Please remember that we are running a poll. If you are yet to respond to it, please do. Over to you, Mario. Mario, you could unmute.
Yes, hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can get me?
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Yes. And thank you for joining. I'm here representing the Director, Environment, Water and Sanitation, who is out of Nairobi on official duty. Now, solid waste management has always been a big challenge, and actually a place where both the NMS and even the county have been receiving serious complaints on illegal dumping or inappropriate collection and transportation of waste, or even people carrying and dumping waste in fenced plots or public spaces. In this matter, I really am happy that Kara is finding it necessary to look for alternative justice system for issues touching on solid waste. And I actually also appreciate the other presenters, with the last one being NEMA, and also the National Environment Complaints Committee, and also the CAM and the United Nations Development UNDP. Even other presenters, I think have also listened to Kennedy, and also there was the presentation from on digital platform and other research done on solid waste management. All these have pointed to it that the fact that there is a problem, and that problem currently we are handling it is not really as responsive as it should be, and therefore other alternatives, including alternative justice system, becomes very paramount in addressing the issue. Nairobi County and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services have really put a lot of effort on having the solid waste management properly done. I talk as a former in charge of solid waste management back in 2008 and 2014, before I was also taken to other responsibilities. And I'm also talking also as a player currently. So it is an issue that we, all of us, have to look at and ask ourselves, which is the best way. One of the things we are looking at currently is having the material recovery facilities, and the issue which have been is that nobody wants material recovery facilities too close to their neighborhood. And in this, when we look at the city as it is, it's totally built up, and therefore there is no empty space where you can say there are no population, and therefore it is prudent upon us now to say, yes, we have it, yes, and these are the criterion we need to have, or these are the requirements that need to be met for us to allow these facilities. The other thing is that the youth have been also identified as both good innovators, and also the people who can really come up with the appropriate solutions if properly guided and their role is properly stipulated. And also, we've also seen that we will still require some degree of enforcement for those offenders that are probably been notified and they have been cautioned and they are not ready to change. So we have to apply multiple interventions, which are of course based on case and by case analysis and also based on the societal accepted ways of solving the problem. One thing I've noticed in the presentation is that there was no, in both the researches which have been done, there seems to be no recognition of county or NMS as a point of their dispute resolution, either giving alternative justice system or solving the problem of solid waste. That was an observation either the people themselves, either they take it as it is automatic that these are government and therefore they are raw, or they have not recognized them as part of the players, key players in this process. So in coming with this alternative justice system, I know every day we receive not less than 10 complaints. Of course, some running to banning of waste, others on noise pollution and the dumping of solid waste, and even issues of dumping of sludge from toilet and all that. And all these, if we look at the cost involved in addressing them, is enormous. It might not be sustainable to continue that way. So the CARA and other resident association members can really play a critical role together with the religious and even the Nyumba Kumi and even the chief and other local players, youth groups, women groups. And when all of us come together and see how we can mitigate, how we can stop the environmental pollution through solid waste, how can we remediate, or how can we clean already contaminated grounds. Now, especially we have seen this happening during cleanups. Nairobi County, Nairobi Metropolitan Services have several occasions done cleanups. We've seen our Lieutenant General leading the General Bandit leading cleanups in several parts of the city, including former settlement, and we've seen that having very strong impact, and people have been very, very, very positive in the support, and we have also been very, very open in giving information on how to address this problem. So it's good, and I feel it is our way to go. And we as the NMS, and also by extension, even the county government and national government, we are willing to work with the partners in the area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We quickly move to our next speaker, who is Dr. Steve Ouma from the Alternative Justice System Task Force. Dr. please welcome. Hello, Dr. Steve Ouma, can you hear us? Just a reminder that we are running a poll, and if you are yet to respond, please do. And we will be finishing in a few minutes. Dr. As we wait for Daktari, if you are yet to respond to the poll that we are running, please do. We kindly request that you take a minute or so. It will take you less than 2 minutes to respond. As we wait for Daktari, I want to kindly request if you have any question, comments, input, we will briefly open the floor for you. So please raise your hand so that I can pick you. We are just about to end this, so if you have any questions, comments, Hi, Daktari.
Hi, is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we will allow you to proceed.
Okay, so really, you want me to put on my, it's not my background there.
Nancy, you
Okay.
will hold. Nancy, Wairimu, you will hold. We allow Daktari to go first. So
Okay.
Daktari, it's your turn.
Thank you very, very much for this invitation and indeed for the good work that you've done. I was surprised that Dr. Chumo has actually made the presentation I was going to make because he has taken you through the framework policy and the essence of the work of the task force. So I will spend very few minutes to say the following. First of all, our work is derived from Article 159 of the Constitution as well as Article 48 of the Constitution. Article 48 of the Constitution is all but about really expanding access to justice. So Article 159 becomes sort of like a tool of advancing that mandate. And I would like you to look at the diagram that I've put there on the screen. Here is a river, you know, and they have reversed it. The river starts here and it moves in, and you see in the beginning, there are more people who have disputes, who have matters which they would like engaged. Take, for example, all this. But ultimately, those who have their matters resolved in courts are very few. So the essence here is to say that pragmatically, it is not possible to resolve all our disputes in the court of law. But another important point, not all disagreements are claimable legally. This is very important. And in the environment, it is even more important. And I'll give one example. But not all disagreements are claimable legally. And that is why alternative justice system is important. Let me give you an example. If you live in Kawangware or Kangemi, I've seen some people here from Kangemi, and you live, let's say, in N. N is the upper part of Kangemi, just before you reach the police station. And there you live in N, and you are a tenant. Now, as a tenant, you have a structure owner because he or she doesn't own that land. And then sewage water seepages from one structure to another. What claim can you make in court of law? The problem is that you don't own the land, and therefore the legal rights that you can claim are very limited. The closest you can claim is nuisance. But that's not the depth of the justice question. So we must remember that in most occasions, especially in low-income areas, the courts are not able to comprehend the depth of the disputes that we have at hand. And therefore, alternative justice system becomes the only space where that can be comprehended. And and you can go into more details, especially in the environmental sector. If you go to dumping site in Dandora, there are many such disputes that cannot be understood, cannot be framed legally. And so AJS becomes the only space to do. Our committee, in implementing the policy that was presented very well by Dr. Chumo, is asking us to pay attention to three important human rights interventions. AJS is about respect, protect, and transform. Respect, acknowledge the existing systems. Remove structural barriers that hinder the working of those systems. And then don't take retrogressive measures that demean the functioning of those systems. Protect means protect those systems from external interference. Protect those systems from violations by other entities and sanction all human rights violators. The last thing is transform. Remember, our constitution has been praised for being a transformative constitution. So the transformation agenda is very important. And transformation agenda is about what will you change in the tribunal, what will you change in the court, what will you change in the AJS mechanisms to meet the human rights standards. If you look at Article 159, 3 ABC of the Constitution, this is the agenda of transformation. So implementing AJS therefore requires respect, protect, and transform. What can we do? We would like to request CARA, and this is something that I've also seen in the chat. Please, we would like you to map out the various CARA members and the various people involved in the waste management. To all of them have some sort of a person we call their own ombudsman. That is the person who, in every group, people go to when they have a dispute, when they have a concern, when they have a challenge regarding environmental questions. And we are happy to train them on two levels. One, how do you transform what you have to meet the standards expected by the Constitution and by the AJS policy? That is practically what we'd like to do. And secondly, we can also accompany you in working out your system, trying out your system. So that's practically what I'm putting on the table. We need many champions who can use AJS, but in a way that is consistent with the Constitution. And that is the transformation agenda. And we are very happy to work with you towards that. Otherwise, in terms of typologies, Dr. Chumo presented very well. In terms of the framework of how it works, it is duty to respect, duty to protect, and duty to transform. I thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity, and I'm hoping I've given a clear, concise outlook of why and what we can do together. Thank you. Over to you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Daktari, for that short, very precise presentation. We now want to open it up for comments, reactions, any feedback from those who are attending the launch. So please raise your hand if you have a concern, a comment, you just want to give us feedback. Okay. I think we will take this opportunity to, we are on the very tail end of our program. So we will allow Nancy to speak. Nancy, unmute and go ahead. Then the next will be Dr. Ramadan, followed by Mwai Q.
I just wish to thank all the panelists. I think this discussion has been very helpful. I'm from Mathare, a member of the Muungano Wanavijiji movement. So basically, I think is to continuous have this engagement. We had the meeting last week. I think it is very fruitful. All forums in the community, sensitizing the community on issues, justice issues, waste management, and also alternative dispute mechanism. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy. We go to Dr. Ramadan. Daktari.
Thank you very much for those excellent presentations and remarks. Mine, first of all, I had 2 questions. You know, I am from North Coast Ratepayers and Resident Association based in Mombasa. We are an affiliate of KARA. Our main actors here will be the resident associations and the county government of Mombasa and the NEMA office in Mombasa. This new app, those affiliates who are outside Nairobi and the organizations outside Nairobi, will they be able to be part of this app and be able to participate actively? That is question number 1. Question number 2, NECC, can they share their functional addresses, email, phone numbers that are functional so that they'll be able to get information from us? And 3, also to NECC, are they having plans to open offices in the counties just as NEMA has done? And then finally, we would wish that as a comment that this is a very good app. I think it is going to be a game changer if people are going to get assistance and services from the relevant organizations. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Daktari. After Mwai and Jacob, I will allow panelists to respond to your question. So we move to Mwai. Mwai, your comments, feedback. Mwai, please unmute.
Hello.
Yes, go
Good
ahead.
morning. Thank you very much indeed for this discussion. In fact, it is very, very, very useful. And Amri, and in the group of Mwai Wakil, we are together in this team. We are very familiar with Kara. Now, my question really, I've got many questions, but I want to have this one which is disturbing us in our estates. Not only my estate, every estate you go, you'll find broken cars, heavy duty waste like dumped metal things, dumped furniture, and because now we don't have any, even when the lorries which carry waste come, they say they don't concern with those things. How do we take care of this issue? What law exists? Because we are told you have to put a newspaper, you have to put an advert, and if somebody does not collect the car, you can dump it. But is there a national authority or authoritative force which can punish people who do this, who abandon cars? Sometimes they live in estate, then they go to another estate, but they dump their cars in your estate, and you don't know where to get them. And it's an eyesore. It's also dangerous. Children sometimes play with them. They get in. Sometimes thieves hide. Sometimes bad animals like snakes. Thank you. And how do you? Because even if you want to do AJS, you don't know where to get these people. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mwai. We go to Jacob. Jacob.
Thank you so much. I'm Jacob Ngumi. I work with the young professionals from Machakos County. My concern is how you can be able to reach to us as Kara for the resident organizations and CBOs around Machakos town in terms of rolling out this project. It's a nice project, and I'm happy to be part of this. Number two is about does Kenya has a policy on car and waste disposal? Cars are all over, disposed all over in towns, everywhere, in garages, in villages, in the estates, and they are dumped all over. Those cars, what is the NEMA doing about that? To ensure that those cars, the owners of those cars, is a way of recycling them or be able to dump them properly in a better place. Does the county governments also have a place where we can be able to dump cars rather than them being dumped all over? Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. So we will quickly get reactions from the panelists. So I will start with Nixon. So Nixon, there is a question on the application use and coverage. How would we go about this?
Hello, thank you very much for that feedback and the question. Yeah, the system will be nationwide. So after the pilot, of course, we are starting with Nairobi, but the interfaces would be created for residents association group, irrespective of where they are. So definitely cost would be covered and any other, as Kara, of course, would be having that right to engage on board the affiliates. We are also starting with the county governments, it's not limited to County of Nairobi. All the counties would be onboarded as well. I mentioned the other auxiliary service providers. I mean, the regulators like NEMA, of course, I talked of WARMA, that the system would be able to integrate all those users. So the key is that we integrate in the database of the system and the interfaces possibility to integrate as many users as possible. And if we were to present you in terms of the design of the system, we are not worried about the system being overloaded. We having time issues of downtime because we have many users. It is designed to be able to incorporate as many people as possible and to handle many complaints and a lot of data. Some have talked even about the policy being accessible. If need be, we can be able to, of course, share some of those resources that are here that are within an easily accessible platform. So yes, it will cover everyone. There was also a question on the USSD code to be able to include those who don't have smartphone. Technically, that is a possibility that we would be able, maybe in the second phase of the launch of the system. A bit, of course, it requires a bit of extra resources to expand the scope to include other issues beyond waste or waste and other partners out of the county. There is a bit of resources that Kara may need, and I think I would invite the stakeholders that already have spoken, those who are within the forum and those that are outside, that your support to support the scale up and rollout of the system to integrate more players, both as users, but also as those who are handling the key stakeholders that handling waste management and other environmental issues would be much welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Then there was a question around correct disposal of cars, old cars. So I think this was asked by Mwai and Jacob Mgumi. And this goes to, I think, NEMA and NECC. Over to you, Cynthia. Cynthia, could you comment on this? The issue of disposal of cars, old and used cars. Okay, on the issue of NECC contacts, I will allow Daktari and his team to respond.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mithi. I want to say that we appreciate the questions from our stakeholders, Dr. Ramatan. Our contacts are available. If we have we have Twitter, we have email, we have WhatsApp, we have all the phone and all that. And I've told Mr. Simon to put it in the chat, and you'll be able to get it. And also, it's also available in our document that we presented today, which I'm sure it will be shared, and you'll be able to see our contacts. Now, number two is that you've also asked whether we are going to open offices in Mashinane or rather in the counties. I want to say that NECC, as per the act, as per now, is a committee based in Nairobi. But as I said, or rather as we said earlier on, MCA is being amended. And it will one of the things that we have actually said is that we have suggested that we are going to we need to have NECC opening up offices so that we can actually come closer to the people. And soon we shall be able to reach there. And before then, we are also having a discussion with the EACC and the Corruption Commission, so that we can still use the Huduma table at every county, so that we can be able to receive our complaints there for purposes of onward being brought to Nairobi for us to really appreciate the same. So Mr. Mwai Kiu has talked about the abandoned cars and the waste vehicles. NEMA has a role in that. And there is a provision that they can actually work very closely with the county government, and then therefore look for a way of disposing through those structures or the vehicles in a legal way. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. So if we have no comments, no questions, we are just about to end this. I think we've...
Allow me to make comment on the issue of the junk cars and
Yes.
vehicles. Yes, again, I'm Mario. Mario is the Deputy Director in NMS and Director of the Water and Sanitation in the county, but I'm also sitting in for the current Director of Environment, Water and Sanitation, NMS. So, the issue of the cars, I know that conversation was initiated back in 2018 by then by the City Council, or not City County, to map out all the junk cars on the road and in estate for the appropriate action to be taken. It went and that time all the junk were identified, and it was realized that for this exercise to be successful, several actors had to be engaged, who some of them were supposed to authorize either for the disposal through appropriate legal process, but somewhere it was lost. Now I think it has come in this discussion. It's a matter we are going to reactivate and see the way forward, working with NEMA and the other players, including Kara. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario, for that response. So without further ado, please allow me to, unfortunately, if you look at the program, we were to have a representative from the ministry, Dr. Ayub Macharia, who is not with us. I think he got other engagement and he had to attend to them urgently. So allow me to now invite Dr. Chumo to support us with the official launch of the project. Thereafter, I will call upon Henry to give closing remarks and vote of thanks. Thank you. Dr. Chumo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omiti and the team. I want to appreciate the Kara CEO and your team also. Our friend Dan Chuma from UNDP, we have had Kenya Association of Manufacturers, our sister Georgina. We have also had a very able representative from the NMS and Dr. Ouma Steve, who has actually been very useful as far as HA alternative justice system is concerned, having been in that committee. And the presenters, especially the consultants who have actually been able to take us through several documents, and Cynthia from NEMA. I want to say that this very important discussion that has actually been started by Kara, and I want to really thank you on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. I know Mr. Dr. Macharia would have been here, but on his behalf and also on behalf of the minister and the behalf of the peers and the team, this has been a very open discussion that has now come up with a debate on how we can be able to sort out and solve disputes across the country, and in particular on matters to do with the environmental justice. As I said earlier on, National Environment Complaints Committee and the Ministry of Environment at large, I would wish that we really minimize the pollution of environment. And we are aware, for example, that in the last around 2 weeks ago, His Excellency the President has really talked about Nairobi River being a river that is highly polluted and actually draining its water to Twake Dam that is being constructed. And everybody, all the stakeholders are, are wondering that now that we are actually channeling all the waste from Nairobi to a given dam, then are we actually solving the problem of water shortages in this country, or we are actually, enhancing disease infection in terms of taking water to such a level? And therefore, I think if we can be able to have this conversation, especially in Nairobi, and say then that how would we solve our waste disposal in terms of the collection, the transportation, and how we can be able to convert it to what we would actually call a circular economy, then actually we will be able to solve this problem. And we have actually said that I think the government alone, the national government alone, cannot be able to solve this. We only need the other agencies. We need the non-state actors, and this is very happy that CARA and others are actually coming on board. UNDP, which is a very good partner for this country, and all others who the 190 themselves. We take the responsibility in terms of ensuring that moving forward, we don't look at the waste as only a problem that can be sorted out by NMS or the county government of Nairobi, but it can also be sorted out at your level as a person. And I think moving forward and coming up with a digital platform, it will be able to integrate all of us, whether it is the government, whether it is non-state actors like CARA and other NGOs and CBOs coming on board. And I'm sure we shall be able to have a very structured way of actually raising complaints, working on them, and solving them. And therefore, this discussion and this conversation that we have actually started as CARA, we want to say that as Ministry of Environment and Forestry, we are going to really further the discussion and whatever that you require. And you have seen that actually the ministry is also working on coming up with legislations, especially on solid waste management. And I'm sure moving forward, these all of us, whether you are CARA, you are Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KEPSA, and any other stakeholder will be brought on board so that we can be able to move together, work together, and actually solve these problems together. And I want to say HAS, the Atlantic Justice System, is the way to go so that we can actually solve problems at the minimal level before it's actually taken to court, which sometimes take a lot of time. And even the outcome sometimes make friends and neighbors become enemies forever. But when we do HAS, which is normally at a level that it is friendly, we can be able to solve these problems. As NECC, we are still also grateful and we look forward to this partnership. I want therefore to take this opportunity on behalf of the ministry, and in particular the chief guest who would have been Dr. Macharia, to amply declare this project officially launched. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Really appreciated for the support that we've gotten so far from the ministry and its affiliate agencies. Now allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite Henry Ochieng, the CEO of CARA, to give us closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Omiti, and thank you all of you for being with us up to this particular moment. I appreciate the participation. Maybe I just need to quickly respond to Wanangumi, what mentioned about participation in Machakos. I think in terms of this project, we are confined to Nairobi at the moment, but definitely AJS is a national conversation. So we look at scaling these initiative areas and of course reaching out to people like Wanangumi to ensure that we are able to work very closely. So maybe after we are done with the Nairobi project, we're able now to see that we also upscale other areas. For me, I think I just want to say thank you all for being with us up to this moment. I think we've had a lot of representation, a lot of input, even for our consultants, who should now be able to finalize the work we are doing and taking into consideration the various input and various suggestions that have come through this kind of discussion. We definitely are appreciative of our partners, like I said at the beginning. This project is supported by EU, Kenya, European Union, UNDP, and of course through Amkeni Kenya program. So we thank them very much for the support and enable us to be able to have these activities implemented. We expect that the next couple of months, maybe by March next year, we should have been able to implement all the activities. And by that, we should be able to see the kind of impact that we create through this initiative. So in between now and then, and March, we'll be engaging quite a bit with most of you, because like I mentioned earlier, this project is such that we are working with various stakeholders, both within government, outside government, community level, and at the government level. So we will be interacting in terms of just involving in a number of activities, consulting with you, asking for your input on a number of issues that we are dealing with. And please, when we do that, we ask for your cooperation and your support so that we all be able to make sure that we effectively implement the project and be able to see the results. We hope that once this phase is done, because we are taking this as a pilot, so once it's done, we should be able to sit down with our partners and maybe other partners who we are dealing with. Now discuss how do we take this outside Nairobi, because when we talk about alternative justice system, and especially in solid waste, this is a national conversation, and everybody in every corner of this country should be able to be involved and engaged so that they can be able to take advantage of the AJS and also take advantage of the other ways of dealing with conflicts to get a speedy solution. So we look forward to having this as a national initiative, and of course in partnership with various stakeholders. So at this juncture, allow me to thank our partners like I've done, and also thank our consultants we are working with who have been able to put together the information that I shared this morning. Some of them, like the digital service platform, is work in progress, and like the consultant said, we will be looking forward to getting your suggestion or information in terms of how to make it better and how to improve it and ensure that it is serving the purpose for which we want it to serve. For us as CARA, this is one area that is really grappling with in terms of how do we monitor complaints. How do you ensure that whatever information that is coming from the ground can be fed into a platform and monitored real time to ensure that we don't have it falling through the crack and then we start asking what happened to this particular matter. And I'm sure that our partners, NECC, NEMA, NMS, this will also be something positive for you because it makes it easier for you to be able to engage and also on what kind of actions you are doing on various companies that have been presented. So we thank the consultants for the work they've done. And most importantly, also thank the speakers because we've had various organizations presented today in this particular forum. We thank you for creating time to be here with us and sharing with us what you are doing, the work you are doing, and how you are linking that to the issues of AJS and engagement with communities. And we look forward to that kind of activity. All the participants, thank you for being with us. Without you, we would not have had this session. So thank you for logging in and being patient at this particular moment. I hope that you'll be able to take something away from this discussion, and I hope that we continue the interaction on the ground so that we can be able to listen to what the issues are, we can be able to discuss and exchange ideas on how to come up with solutions, and also discuss how to upscale some of the work that we're doing with you and of course with other partners that we are working with. Ladies and gentlemen, from here at CARA, we are going back to work. And if you heard what I said at the beginning, we have quite a number of activities implemented at this initiative. So with this now officially launched, go full throttle and make sure that all the activities that have lined up are effectively implemented, and we are able to create a positive, not just within our membership, but in our society and in our country. And of course, working with you and engaging you as stakeholders so that we can be able to ensure that we are walking the journey together and we are all making a positive impact in our country. So I want to thank all of you very much, and we look forward to continue engaging you on the pending activities and the many, of course, not within just this project, but of course other areas that we deal with as CARA. Those of you who know about CARA, you know that we are working on a number of areas even at the moment, and some of you are actively involved one way or the other, and we should be able to continue that kind of. Asanteni sana, and have yourself a good afternoon. I'm informed that, I don't know if it's possible, but we can put on our cameras so that our team IT can just take some snapshots. That is possible if you're able to put on your camera from wherever you are, so that you see your face and just take a snapshot. I think that will be very useful. Otherwise, okay, I'm told it's not possible, so I think we just make use of what we have. So back to your meeting. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks so much, Henry, for the comments, closing remarks, and the vote of thanks. So I think we now end it here. I think with the national anthem, the way we started. So in a minute, we will play it, then we adjourn. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. We now end it here. As we say, watu wakutane kwa ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.